S&P changed its outlook for U.S. sovereign debt to negative from stable earlier today. And joining us now with his take on this move and its ramifications is Representative Ron Paul. He joins us on the phone from Lake Jackson, Texas. So, Congressman, does S&P's action, do you think, play into your hands here in the political debate, or do you think it weakens your position and might frighten some Republicans into blinking in what some are calling a political game of chicken?
Well, it certainly emphasizes the assumptions that I've made over the years, because I've always said that this debt crisis will eventually hit the dollar. And when you see this in today, you know, the devaluation of the dollar against gold was very clear. Now it's essentially 1/1500th of an ounce of gold. Devaluations used to mean something, and historically they always have. Today they don't pay as much attention to it, but when they see the prices go up even more, they've already started up, the prices will continue to go up. This is a major crisis. I'm just surprised that S&P has been so positive. Just to say in the future we are going to have a negative outlook, I think it's much worse than that. And I think in a year from now, more people are going to be a lot more concerned than they are today.
I want to talk about the dollar for sure, but before we go to that, I want to talk about the rhetoric in Washington. And again, what people are calling a political game of chicken. Having this shot across the bow, does it mean that people are going to dig their heels in more, or are they going to actually move towards an agreement?
They're not going to move toward an agreement because they both agree to spend money. You know, I don't think either side's interested. You know, Obama wants a budget that by 2016 will have $20 trillion worth of debt. And the Republican version, which is supposed to be the conservative version, said, well, no, we want one where there's only $19 trillion worth of debt in 2016. That's not much of a reform as far as I can see. So, no, and you know, although they talk like they disagree on something, but, you know, whether you have a Republican or Democrat, you end up with wars all around the world. So you can't address that, and I think that should be the easiest place to address it. When Republicans are in, do they address the subject of entitlements? No, they complain about Obama's entitlements, but when we have a prescription drug program or double the size of the Department of Education, and even increase Planned Parenthood with the Republicans, how can anybody argue that they're different? This is all rhetoric. It's bipartisan on increasing money. It's never bipartisan on decreasing the money and in the budget. There's always those on the principled left and the principled libertarian right where they would get together and cut something, but unfortunately we're still in a minority.
So let's talk specifically about this S&P news. You know, some people are taking it pretty seriously and talking about, you know, the loss of our AAA status. That would be disastrous. So given today's news, do you agree with that? Would it really be that bad if the U.S. got downgraded?
I think it's going to be very, very bad, but Standard & Poor's is more or less the messenger. The problem is the debt is going up, and eventually it'll be the market, and which means that prices are going up. That's a reflection of it. The gold price is a reflection of it. But it's also the prices going up is a very major thing, and that's going to happen regardless of what Standard & Poor's say, and eventually, you know, they're not going to be able to sell our debt. That's what's going to happen. And then the alternative will be some internationalists are going to come in and they're going to patch together another fiat currency and think that's going to solve the problem. But quite frankly, that'll be whistling Dixie. I don't think it'll do much good.
Let's talk about the dollar. You've talked about the dollar being an important factor in your run for president, you know, being the dollar's decline. On a day like this with the S&P news, I mean, you've talked about gold. Sure, it got close to 1,500, but the dollar's actually up today. Right. What's going on? What do you make of that?
Well, I think on the short time there's so many dollars and so many people are frightened. They don't know what to do, but it's sort of like sell your stock today and put it in your checking account, you know, and park your dollars and buy dollars because the dollar still is the reserve currency of the world. But we're working very hard in undermining that status, which will be very, very detrimental to us. So I consider it very, very serious, but I don't think that another fiat currency can solve the problem.
So when you look at what's happened, you don't seem very optimistic about the two sides getting together. Can you tell me what you think is going to happen on the debt ceiling debate?
Good question. Of course, you know, people ask about the CR, and I always said it would be passed. Went down to the wire. I didn't know whether I was going to be right or not. They'll get together. They'll pass it. And, of course, the budget went through rather easily. I think there'll be some trading behind the scenes, and I would predict that the fearmongers will have their day and say that continuing what we're doing today is safer than admitting that we're bankrupt, which would be serious, and it would have a lot of ramifications. So yeah, I would predict that it will be raised.
All right. Representative Ron Paul joining us on the phone from Texas. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Jen Rogers. This is Reuters Insider.